10 possible Game of Thrones endings. It was time to talk about sword fights, Valyrian fire, warrior queens, and White Walkers. Yes, we're talking about Game of Thrones, a series that has become popular throughout the years, giving us memorable seasons, and now that it is about to end, keeping us intrigued as to who will finally sit on the Iron Throne. Therefore, we will show you the possible endings based on several theories. Valar Morghulis, friends. A fairy tale. We were all thrilled to see Jon Snow meet Daenerys in the 3rd chapter of the 7th season, since, in spite of their differences, the connection between them was obvious, making fans want both Jon and Daenerys to live a fairy tale. But since we know George R.R. Martin is a sadist, it is far-fetched that this dream is fulfilled, but hope dies last. And even more so, since we are talking about a magical world where everything is possible, since there is a great likelihood that the popularity of the characters will cause the directors not to dare kill them, but to simply fulfill the multiple prophecies and finish in a kind of co-government. Ice and fire together defeating the dead, freeing the kingdoms, and taking turns on the Iron Throne. It's worth dreaming. Gendry and Arya rule Westeros. During the 2nd season, we saw how Gendry and Arya had a very strong friendship. It was so much so that Arya was able to tell him who she really is. Now, in the 7th season, after so much rowing, poor Gendry came back to be the talk of the town, as he is the last Baratheon alive after the death of Renly, Stannis, and of course, his father Robert. The physical resemblance to his father is impressive, of course when he was young and strong, not drunk and paunchy. So there is a theory that at the end of the war against the army of White Walkers, the only survivors will be Gendry and Arya, who have already shown some chemistry before, and it's very likely that they will come together to govern. In the end, Robert Baratheon and Eddard Stark's dream would have been fulfilled, uniting both houses once and for all. The Night King wins. This character has shown to be the most powerful of all throughout the saga, able to bring back the dead, a great aim, his ability to have an ice dragon under his power. He could even melt the wall that stood over 8,000 years with its help. So, it wouldn't be strange to think that this Night King can win the battle. And although Jon has demonstrated the weakness of these creatures, we don't know if this terrifying character has the same weakness as the others. With a miscalculation in Jon Snow's team, and a bit of luck, the Night King could quietly ride his dragon straight to King's Landing and sit on the Iron Throne, freezing them all. Winter is coming, and the King of the Night knows it. Jon dies a 2nd time. In the 7th season, we could see in Daenerys as a worthy daughter of the Mad King when she burned Randall and Dickon Tarly alive, proving to be intimidating and fearless before others. Since the 1st season, the Mother of the Dragons has considered that the throne belongs to her by birth and that this is her fate. So, the appearance of a new Targaryen will not be good news for the Khaleesi, and despite Jon's disinterest, this could be the fight that ends a long-anticipated explosion. Many have pointed out that the Targaryen curse may come to her, and we might get to see her go crazy, honoring her genetics. But in reality, George R.R. Martin is a villain, and might have also created one of the worst enemies of the series before our very eyes from scratch. Dracarys. Sansa, ruler of Westeros. Throughout the seasons, we have seen Sansa evolve extraordinarily. We've seen how she turns all that pain into a weapon to face her enemies. One of them was the way in which she took revenge on Littlefinger, accusing him of all the atrocities she ever did, and making him pay in blood for what she had done to her and her family. This made it clear that this girl is not the sweet and innocent one we met in the 1st seasons. Now that she is a righteous woman full of character and strength, it would not be strange to think that this girl could be the leader of the 7 kingdoms. She's a woman who is not afraid to say what she thinks, who would reject the union of Jon and Daenerys, and that if she were to face Cersei personally, she would handle without an issue. She might seek an army in the north to defeat it and finally be the head of the Seven Kingdoms. The North always remembers. Euron Greyjoy is the father of Cersei's son. Somehow this sounds much more disturbing than the fact that Jaime is the incestuous father of her baby. And in Season 7, we learned of the plan that Euron and Cersei prepared to betray Jon and Daenerys without telling Jaime. Since we all know Cersei's mania, there is a possibility that this woman has planned something more intimate with him. And by this, we don't only mean the strategy, but a meeting in bed. Another fact is that Cersei lets Jaime ride north to fight the White Walkers, so she does not seem to care much about the fate of her son's father, as she has no idea when he will return or if he will end up alive. Quite the opposite with Euron, knows where she is and what she is doing. The son of Daenerys and Jon survives. George R.R. Martin has been teasing his fans by saying that the end would be bittersweet, so it is very likely that the miraculous baby, product of Daenerys and Jon, won't have a long life with both parents around him. It is probable that Jon dies in the battle with the White Walkers, or perhaps Daenerys gives birth but dies recovering King's Landing. Since losing her son, the Khaleesi hasn't been able to get pregnant despite her recurring sexual encounters with Daario Naharis and Meereen. However, there is a possibility that Jon Snow may awaken the cursed sleeping womb of the Mother of the Dragons. It is said that Daenerys would begin the 8th season pregnant and then give birth. But as we know, there will be a confrontation with the White Walkers, and we are not certain if they will come out alive from battle. Besides, Daenerys would not be happy to know that by blood and law the throne would belong to Jon. So, it's almost a fact that this little one would be king, and that Tyrion and Jorah Mormont would take care of the regency until this miraculous baby is old enough and can rule by himself. Arya would kill Cersei. In the 5th season, we see little Cersei with her friend looking for a witch who is known to predict the future. There she discovered that in the future she would be queen, and that she would have 3 children and that they would die before her. But what marked her the most was when the witch told her that she would be killed by a Valonqar. It is translated as younger brother in Alto Valyrio. All her life she thought that the younger brother who would kill her would be Tyrion. But she never imagined that her brother Jaime, who is younger than her, could also kill her. The funny thing here is that it can be Jaime, but not the original one. Instead, it would be one with his face. It is not far from being true, since in the 7th season we saw how Arya became a skillful man without a face. It wouldn't be strange that in one of this fighter's plans lies the desire to kill Cersei with the face of his brother Jaime. First, kill the Kingslayer to use his face, and catch Cersei off guard to kill her with his own hands. Valar Morghulis, all men must die. We could say that this is one of those theories that is closest to reality in this list. And it is not so far-fetched to think that the only bastard son of Robert Baratheon who is still alive is his illegitimate son with Cersei. We can state this because we know that Robert and Cersei had a son, a black-haired beauty who died after birth. The funny thing is that this imposing woman has never visited her firstborn in the crypt, although we know that she is a fighting mother and that she would do anything for her children. And just when Joffrey orders to kill all the bastards, Gendry has the opportunity to go with a group of boys to the Wall to be a member of the Night Watch. Maybe someone in the highest circles of power was protecting him. Gendry, on the other hand, only remembers that his mother had yellow hair. If that yellow-haired woman were Cersei, Gendry would have the most legitimate right to the Iron Throne, another one to add to the fight for the coronation. Jon Snow will kill Daenerys. Since the beginning of the series, we've been speculating that Jon Snow is the Promised Prince, a reincarnation of the legendary hero Azor Ahai, a great warrior who will save all mankind. But most predictions have overlooked a central piece in the legend of this hero, which is that, by being a lousy metallurgist, he had difficulty in forging his mythical sword, Lightbringer. Then he realized that he needed to temper the sword by plunging it into the heart of his wife, Nissa, to impregnate her with his power. So, if Jon Snow is Azor Ahai, the theory says that Daenerys will be his Nissa, his true love, and the one he must kill to save the kingdom. So, we could imagine a version of Game of Thrones where Jon Snow ends up winning. Not even a stab in the heart could stop him. Every time Jon faces an intimidating force in battle, he overcomes and rises above. He is the king of the North and a secret Targaryen called Aegon, who is actually the person with the most legitimate right to the throne. Nothing is set in stone and any ending can happen by now. All we have left is to wait for the season of this great saga to begin, and we can finally know how this great story ends. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe and activate the bell to get all our videos. Until next time!